gentlemen, welcome to episode number 1 of TrackWrestling.com's The Blue Chip Recruiting Podcast. I'll be your host, Eric Olanowski, and our first guest for the Blue Chips Recruiting Podcast is none other than two-time world champion and Minnesota commit, Gable Steveson. Gable, welcome to the show.
Oh, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really excited to talk to you. I know last time we talked, you hadn't yet committed, so you commit to the University of Minnesota. Let's start with your top 5 schools. What were your top 5 schools that you were looking at?
It was Minnesota, Iowa, Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Ohio State.
Okay, so we have your top 5 schools. Let's go in order. You choose Minnesota. What was your second school? What if the choice was tough between Minnesota and what other school? What would that have been?
It was probably Iowa or Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State, Esposito came with us to Worlds, and he was just a nice guy, good guy, taught me a lot of new things. Iowa, because I've been an Iowa fan my whole life mostly, and we grew up going to see Dan Gable and Tom and Terry Brands all the time, so it was nice.
And for those who don't know, your brother wrestles at Minnesota, and one question that I had for you was, when did you become when did the spotlight get away from, oh, that's Bobby's little brother, to when you really developed your own name? At what point did you feel that, hey, I've created my own name and I'm living up to the Steveson name?
I think it was probably after my freshman year when I made the world team, but a lot of people probably say, like, yeah, that's Bobby's little brother when I was younger, but, like, you know, we brothers, so it really don't matter, like, if they say I'm, like, in his shadow or something, because we practically came up on the same page, like, in the same area, so it really don't bother me when people say that's my older brother.
And your brother wrestled this season, started for the Golden Gophers, and I want to touch on, you had posted a picture when you committed, and it was of Tony Nelson, it was you, it was Cole Conrad, and Brock Lesnar. Who made that photo?
So I came into Eggum's office one day, and he was like, yo, we got this picture for you. This was before I committed, and I was like, all right, show me it. Then he brought out that picture, and I was like, man, this picture's nice. So I told him to send it to me on digital, and that's how I got it.
Okay.
I don't know who specifically made it though.
That's pretty cool. And so let's get to your decision. You chose Minnesota. At what point did you know that you were going to Minnesota? Because I see a lot of pictures on social media of you hanging out with your brother, formerly Larry Early. I saw a lot of pictures of you and him, Freddie Stroker, who I grew up with, so I know those guys. So following them on social media, I've seen a lot of pictures of you at the University of Minnesota. But when did you really know that, hey, this is home and this is where I want to, potentially look to win a national championship?
Probably when Bobby committed, it was like I was still young, so I didn't really look into it. But when I really started noticing is when probably this year, before, like, during season, because Bobby was on the team, and I was just like, I ain't really know what it's supposed to be.
So all the stuff goes down with J-Rob, and the coaching staff is up in shambles, and you don't know who the coach is going to be. Did you hear some rumblings that Eggum was going to get the job?
No, they told me that no interim coach has been fired, and, like, every interim coach has been always brought up, so I just took his word for it, and that's what happened.
And I'm sure you're excited to get to the University of Minnesota and wrestle. What were a couple of things that really stood out to you during the recruiting process that Minnesota had to offer that Iowa, Oklahoma State, Penn State didn't have to offer?
all the Iowa, Oklahoma State, Penn State had to offer good teams and good coaches, but Minnesota's just. I live about 20 minutes away, so I'm at home. Even when I'm on the campus, I'm at home too. Bobby's here. I've been hanging around the guys for a while, so it's kind of I just been around them for a good time, so it's just why not just be here?
How important was Bobby in your decision-making process when you were going through that whole process? I'm sure he was the number one recruiter. He's telling you got to come to Minnesota. But how important was he during that recruiting process?
He was important because we've been on the same high school team, like all the other teams, but he didn't really push me to like, oh, come to Minnesota, come to Minnesota. It was like that. He just said, do what you want. But we've been on the same teams a lot, and we just had to, from high school, we was back-to-back, like 195, 182. And so, like, now we're going to be 197 in heavyweight. So it's just like, it's playing out.
And that interests you? You're excited about that, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. And you touched on, you guys were teammates. Another one of your teammates, Mark Hall, NCAA champion for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Was he reaching out to you during the recruiting process saying, you have to become, Penn State Nittany Lion all the way? Yeah,
he reached out to me a couple of times. He just said, just make your own decision, just do what's best for you. But he also mentioned to me, like, Penn State is a good place to be, but he practically just told me, do what you need and do what's best for you and your family.
And ultimately, Minnesota was best for you. Who would you say was the number one recruiter that wasn't a coach? So one of your friends, it could have been another parent or anything like that, somebody who wasn't tied to a program where you were looking at that was recruiting you harder than anyone else.
Well, all my homies go there, so probably the one that he's tied to the program. His name Patrick McKee. Me and him hang around each other a lot, so he was just always talking about, man, you got to come to Minnesota. You come to Minnesota, we're going to be roommates, this and that. We're going to win these NCAA titles. And, like, I hang around him a lot, so we just became close buddies, and we just going to keep going from there.
So I'll tell you, when I know that I saw you at NCAA's, I was actually calling one of the matches where someone from Minnesota, and I saw you in the corner, and I was thinking to myself, he's with all these Minnesota guys, and it was the day before you had announced your decision. And I thought to myself, I was positive you were going to Penn State. What was it like being recruited by Penn State? That's, wrestling growing up right now, Penn State winning all the national titles. They have, that style that everyone wants to wrestle. So what was that like being recruited by Penn State in a coaching staff where Cale Sanderson's leading?
It was kind of exciting seeing Cale text and talking about he wants me to be a part of the program and wants me to keep establishing a good team. And I talk to all the couple guys on the Penn State team. Every time I see him, even though I'm with Minnesota, every time I see him, like Nichols saying what's up, Rutherford saying what's up, Nolf, I still talk to Hall a lot. So it's just like, even though I'm on the Minnesota team, like I can feel like there's no hate there. It's just still friendships.
And you're saying you're on the Minnesota team. Do you look to redshirt when you come in, or are you want to start right away? You want to get to work?
Yeah, they told me I'll start right away.
Starting right. That's what I want to see. I want to see you up against top competition. So you'll be at heavyweight for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Who do you think, in such a storied program at the heavyweight weight class, who is the best Gopher to ever put on a singlet at the heavyweight weight class?
It's probably at the heavyweight weight class, it got to be Cole Conrad. He's a two-time NCAA champ. Then after that, I forgot about Tony Nelson, Cole Conrad. It's a toss-up between them two. Brock Lesnar is real good, but if we're going off NCAA titles, it's them two right there.
And which one of those guys, I'm sure you wrestle with them in the room, but who would you want to wrestle in a match? comes down to it, you guys are wrestling to head to the Olympics. Who would you want on the other side?
I'm taking on Cole because I wrestled with Tony in practice. I never really wrestled with Cole, so I'm taking him on first.
Okay. Have you decided what your major is going to be, or are you still undecided?
I'm not really sure. I'm thinking about business or somewhere. My mom wants me to do somewhere medical, so one of them two.
Okay, and what are your goals heading into college? What do you want to do when you get to the University of Minnesota?
Well, first off, like, school is the most important part, so I'm trying to graduate on a good note. And then wrestling comes after, so I'm trying to be the first 4-time D1 NCAA heavyweight champion, and just maybe achieve my Olympic goals, win a couple world titles, and if WWE wants to do something, then I'll see what I can do.
You a big fan of WWE?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't really watch it. I just know they got the payouts.
That's awesome. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I know they, one of my former teammates, Mike McClure, he was a heavyweight at Michigan State. He was an All-American. WWE called him, and he was out there for, the first week of training for WWE, and he tore his hamstring off. So if you're athletic and you're heavyweight, you could either go football, you could either go NASCAR, you could go WWE. I mean, all those three are big money, so you have yourself a future. When can we see you compete next? I know you competed this past weekend and you were successful, so congratulations on that. But when can we see you compete next?
I'll be in Nebraska, competing wrestling 2 out of 3 with whoever wins the mini tournament to go to Finland at the Junior Worlds.
Okay. Well, from everybody here at Track Wrestling, I just want to say congratulations on your commitment and congratulations on all of your accomplishments. And for all of our fans out there that are tuning in, where can they follow you on social media?
My Instagram is at Gable, just my name, Gable Steveson. My Twitter is at G Steveson. So it's not Stevenson, it's practically like Steveson, and that's about it.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we get that tweeted out. And for everybody out there for the social media, make sure you go follow Track Wrestling at Track Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Give us some likes, retweets. Let us know your thoughts on the show. Once again, this was episode number 1 of the Blue Chips Recruiting Podcast. I've been Eric Olanowski, and for Gable Steveson, we're signing off. Thank you very much for listening.
Show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.